And happy Thursday. This is the Investor Guys podcast. I'm Kevin Mills. How you doing, Bill Barnett?
I am doing incredibly well, my friend. As always, good seeing you, sir.
Yes, good catching up too. Before we logged on to the show, we're looking at a couple of things that we might share with you guys at one point or another later on. One of the things we wanted to talk about that we've kind of alluded to here and there is mobile home parks. In fact, our last show, we kind of left off on manufactured homes and mobile homes. But as a real estate investor, manufactured home parks, mobile home parks are an amazing investment. A lot of people feel like it's beneath them, but it is about the money. It is not about whether or not you own a mobile home park. It is about how much money that mobile home park puts into your pocket. Something to consider. The largest manufactured home, and that would be a mobile home, my largest manufactured home company is Clayton Homes. Clayton Homes is owned by, do you know, Bill?
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett, exactly. Warren Buffett invested in Clayton Homes. They make 25% of the manufactured homes in the United States. And his strategy is to have them take an even larger share than that. Obviously, not just because of the money, but because of the flexibility of a manufactured or modular home. Your abilities over a stick-built house are far superior. I think you know this, Bill. I did two housing divisions here in Florida years ago. Both of them were done with modular homes. They look like stick-built homes. One of them was done next to a project in Orlando that was supposedly a Disney project. We made our houses look exactly like theirs. We built them for probably half the price. We sold them for about 10 or 20% less than what they were selling. And we raked it in. And we were able to make the money because a manufactured home goes up literally in a day. You put it on the pad, you get the whole thing. It takes longer to do the landscaping than it does to build the entire house. And you don't have anything sitting out there in the elements. You don't have the worry of somebody coming by and taking all of your lumber and throwing it in a truck, which especially you would have an issue with right now. You don't have that shrinkage. You don't have that loss. It is just, I love modular homes for that type of situation. And a modular home is essentially what a manufactured home is. It is what a trailer home is. They just happen to look like trailers that you put together to look like a home. So I'm going to let you kick it off. You tell me what you like about manufactured homes, and let's talk about an easy, quick way to literally just set up a manufactured home park, a trailer home park.
Well, and I'll tell you, I literally just missed in the last couple of weeks a 1.5 acre parcel that had a mobile home on it that was an absolute disaster. And I was going to rehab it and use it as a rental. And you can rehab a mobile home. So that's one of the things that I love about mobile homes is that you can rehab them conceptually, just like you would a house. Conceptually, the cost factors are way different. The materials are, especially right now, are significantly cheaper than the same materials or the equivalency
Equivalent materials.
Yeah, for a stick built. But that's a deal that you can do on a mobile home that is amazing. What you can go in and spend 10 grand on a mobile home and you'll be shocked at what all you can do to it. On a stick built, 10 grand will almost get you started. And so I like looking at those for the rental aspect, whether it be Section 8, whether it be low income, whether it be just straight rental. That's what I like about those. That's the attractiveness of it. Now, I've been involved in 3 mobile home parks through the years, all of which, oddly enough, happen to be in Florida. And they are cash cows. So and the reason that I'm not involved with them anymore is we just got, after 2 or 3 years, got offered too much money at the time, we thought, to turn it down. I have a buddy in St. Pete that is selling his 8,000 square foot on the water a house to move into a condo downtown, and he's like, I couldn't turn down the 400,000 plus and he's married, so he falls into the what we refer to as the Bush exemption, where you can make up to $500,000 off of your personal residence if you've lived in it 3 of the last 5 years, and you can take that money tax free. $250 for a single person, $500 for a couple. He's married. They're going to have, after commissions and everything, you'll have over 400. He's like, so I'm taking that, and we're going to try condo living for a while, which I just thought was hilarious, because I'm like, dude, you're going to give all of that right back when you go buy something else. But they're downsizing some from, it's 3 of them. So he's downsizing some from 8,000 feet to about 4,500 feet, which I think for 3 people, he's going to be able to manage that. So, but same thing happened with the trailers. With the mobile home parks, was that the profit got to be too big to turn down. So I'm still looking. We've made some runs at some in the last couple of years. We'll be making runs at more, because it's just like any multifamily property. If the numbers are right, you're going to get blown away. Now, I was talking to somebody yesterday about an apartment building, and I said, what's the dollar amount you're looking to get out of it? And they said, well, we really want to make 10 grand a month. And I'm like, so how many units is it? They're like 58. We don't know if we can make that or not. I'm like, if you can't make 10 grand a month on 58 units, you are doing something terribly wrong. It's less than $200 a month on 58. You just look at 50, that's $200 a month. So when you start looking at a mobile home park, and you start looking at, I've got 30 lots available, there's all kind of different ways to be able to have great profit on those. And so you look at that, just like, in my opinion, just like you would an apartment building. It's a per door, or we refer to it in the mobile home per space, because a lot of times you will lease the space out and people will bring in their own unit. But you can also go buy these units that are distressed. These are things that you can still find available in the marketplace. And these are things a lot of times you can buy from dealers, and it's okay. But one of the things that we've done this with first-time home builders before, and we've done it with dealers, where you go to a dealer and you let them know, hey, a lot of times what dealers and mobile home units do is they are just like a used car lot. Or an automobile dealership. They floor plan, meaning they have units on their lot. You can go look at a unit, but they also encourage trade-in. So they will allow somebody to actually trade the house that they're living in for a new unit. They'll come and get the unit off of the current property, bring it back to their lot, take the new one, set it up, and in a couple of days, they can have that done. And sometimes they can do it one day, but certainly in a couple of days, that can be done, and the people can be living in their brand new mobile home. And now the dealer has a used mobile home, and a lot of those, just like in an automobile world, a lot of them are pretty rough. And those make incredibly wonderful things for us to be able to buy and then go out, because you can put those, if you've got a quarter of an acre, you usually got plenty of room for, especially if you've got city water. Now, if you've got septic or well water and septic tanks, then you'll have to check with your county to see how much space they require. They'll require typically a larger lot if you're on well and you're on septic. If you've got city water and city sewer, it's a whole different game, and you can go a much smaller space and get more and more units. So you can take a 3, 4, 5 acre tract of land and be shocked at how many units you can get on it, especially if you've got city water and city sewer. So I love that. I love the fact that the cost of entry is so minimal compared to stick built, which increases your profit range, because when you're using them as rentals, you'll be surprised at how well the rental value holds up compared to an apartment rental or a stick built rental.
We're up on a break, but we've got more when we get back. So sit tight and we'll see you in a minute.
A lot of real estate training programs claim that they will make you a millionaire, but how many of them will guarantee it? The Millionaire Blueprint comes with a millionaire guarantee. I guarantee that if you use the strategies and you use the formulas that you learn in the Millionaire Blueprint, you will be a millionaire. I guarantee that with a double your money back guarantee. Whether you have hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest or absolutely nothing, it doesn't matter. I'm going to show you how to start investing and be a millionaire guaranteed. Now, I can't tell you all about it in this short amount of time, so go to the guaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. That's the guaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. Watch the videos there. Read about the guarantee. Read more about what we offer with the Millionaire Blueprint. Get signed up. I'll see you in Palm Beach.
11 months out of the year, Bill Barnett and myself do real estate buyers events in great cities like Orlando, Florida. We bring a group of investors to the cities where we have personal experience. We show them what we're buying, what not to buy, the strategies that we're using to get great returns on our real estate investment portfolios in these specific markets. These events are designed to put properties into your portfolio while you are here. To read more about the real estate buyers events, go to realestatebuyersevent.com. That's realestatebuyersevent.com. Our schedule is there. You're going to read more about the event and you can even register. We'll see you at our next event. And we are back. And today we're talking about mobile home parks, manufactured home parks. And Bill was saying it just before we went into break. I love to find like 5, 6. I love development. So I love finding that 5 or 6 acres, going and getting the permits. Typically, we'll just go in with an asphalt oval. So an entrance to the street, an asphalt oval. In the middle of the oval, we'll build a clubhouse, which we can also get a modular home for. Think of those buildings that you see outside of schools, those mobile classrooms. Okay. We get a fancier version of that side by side. That becomes a clubhouse. We put a pool right next to it. That's in the middle of the oval. When we're putting that oval together, we're also putting in water, electric, and city sewer. If there is sewer, if there's not, we put in a large septic processing. As you know, in Florida, you actually have to account for your water processing before you can put in a development. But I've done projects that weren't in Florida, and I love mobile home projects because just the flexibility that you can do, and literally just build a couple of spurs out from that oval all the way around. While you're doing that, go out and shop for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, depending upon how large of a unit you have. Used mobile homes from these mobile home dealers that Bill was talking about. Put those right up towards the front. Okay. If you get more, put them back in both of the corners so that when somebody pulls in, they see mobile homes in both the corners and they see them up in the front. Because when they're driving by and they see an empty lot, it just isn't appealing. No one wants to be that first person sitting in a mobile home park with that first mobile home. As desirable as you might think that is, nobody wants that. So if they see a handful of mobile homes, whether they have somebody in them or not, they're going to be interested. Now, you don't have to have mobile homes on the lot. You can rent the spaces out. And that's typically what I like to do. I like to have 5 or 6 units that we rent as a whole unit. And then I like for people to bring their own unit with them that they own, because they are more likely to stay longer because they have to, well, first of all, they're renting the space that it's on. But if they decide that they don't want to be there anymore, they have to pay a company to come in and take that home. That is theirs. That is their property. They have to pay a company to come in and take that and resituate it someplace else. That means I have longer term tenants. Okay. Not only that, but when they want to leave, they're typically not going to take their mobile home with them. They're going to try and sell it, which they can do. and they can even find the realtor to do that. So they will sell it to somebody else who will become a long-term tenant. And then I have to approve that tenant as well. So not only are they purchasing the mobile home, they have to be approved the same process as I would anybody else that's going to come into the mobile home park. They become a long-term tenant now on that property as well. Now, one of the last mobile home projects that I was involved in, I actually wasn't involved as an investor, was a consulting project. And they were selling Clayton mobile homes on their property. Clayton has a program where they will give you units on credit for a year. No payments, nothing, for a year. They give you a year to sell those units, and it's at a huge discount, deep discount. Sell those units and get them paid for. So they had brand new Clayton mobile homes sitting right up in front that they were selling, along with the lot leases and everything else. And again, Clayton had a great program. I don't know if they still do, but a great program where you could get those units on credit for a year before you even have to make your first payment. So once you sold those units, you have them start making their payments on it. You take your profit. Didn't cost you anything as long as you get those sold in the first year. And if you're doing it right and you're doing your marketing right and you're in the right area, that shouldn't be an issue to sell 10 units in a year easy. So I love the flexibility. I love how easy it is. You can get the permits to get everything done depending upon where you are. It won't take you as long as a year. Sometimes it might take you 2 months. Sometimes it might take you 6 months, but it will never take you more than 8 or 9 months to get all the permits you need to do, because you're not building a structure. There's no foundational requirements that have to be done. They're not going to be doing soil samples because you're actually putting a structure that has no foundation on top of dirt. So your permits are basically for your utilities, for your water treatment, for your sewage, and for building the road, and for ingress and egress, depending upon where you are. Certain places have a requirement where they do a study to see if it increases the amount of traffic or the amount of burden on local police, local fire, local schools, that type of thing. That's called I forget what it's called, but it's a study that you have to pay for. Think of it as an environmental impact study, which you absolutely have to do here in Florida. They need to make sure that there's no sea turtles or anything where you're building, and that there's no trees that are considered predator trees and all kinds of other interesting things that seem to be unique to Florida. What did you want to add?
Well, when you look at running a mobile home park, there are a lot of similarities to running an apartment complex. There are ways to have additional income. One of the parks that we owned, we had a set of 10 by 10 storage buildings that we built. We had 2 of them, and so it almost looked just like a self-storage property. That on the back end of the park, we had just 2 rows. You drive right down the middle, and they were all 10 by 10s. Yeah, and at the time we were doing them for $30 a pop, and you'd be shocked at how many people that are moving with their home are like, you bet, you got that available? Wow. And it's a great rate of return again, compared to what your cost is to build those. And you can have people that gobble those things up for years on end. Kevin was talking about earlier, having a clubhouse. So when you have a clubhouse, obviously you have the ability to rent that clubhouse out, but also you have things that almost all of the mobile home units will have washer dryers in them. But you can also, even though they're going to have that, have a small 2 or 4 unit laundromat, and you'd be surprised at how much income it'll still bring in. And even though most of these units are going to have it, and you can have things in there, you can have a red box, red envelope, the movie rental thing in there. You can have
vending machines,
those kind of
loaded
things.
up with Mountain Dew. That's the trailer park drink.
Yeah. All right, so we're on a break, Mr. Mountain Dew. And
all right, we'll be back in a minute. Hi, my name's Kevin Mills. I have a real estate training program that is so powerful, I will back it up with a double your money back guarantee that it will make you a millionaire. That's right. double your money back guarantee that you will be a millionaire if you use what you learn in the Millionaire Blueprint. I call it the Guaranteed Millionaire Blueprint, and you can read more about it and watch more videos at guaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. That's guaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. Check it out. All the information is there. Are you ready to start adding performing properties to your portfolio, high performing properties to your portfolio? If so, check out the Real Estate Buyers event. Once a month, with the exception of December, Bill and I host a real estate buyers event in a high performing market where he and I are both investing. He and I both have experience. We share our experiences, our resources, what to buy, what not to buy, where not to buy, what strategies to use to get great returns on your investment in these markets. If you want to read more about it and you want to join us for one of these future real estate buyers events, go to realestatebuyersevent.com. That's realestatebuyersevent.com. We'll see you there. We are back, and today we're talking about mobile homes, manufactured homes, and manufactured home parks. And Bill is talking about storage units and coin laundry and vending machines and red box. Something else that we've had success with, especially if you've got a section of the property that isn't great to put, say, a mobile home on. Maybe it's got a slope or something like that. Rather than coming in and grading it and compacting it and getting extra permits to do all of that, we've made it into RV and boat storage. A lot of people, especially in the areas, like if you're in Alabama, if you're in Florida, a lot of these people have an old mobile home or an old boat or something like that that they do still use. So being able to rent that space out for $50, $75 and have it so that it's right there by their home. They don't have to go, 15, 20 minutes to a storage unit that's going to cost them $300 or $400. That is a significant use of that space that would otherwise not be anything. Another thing that we do, depending upon the length of the property that we do, is in addition to the pool, we'll put in a very simple playground. And again, remember to limit your liability. So think about that when you're putting in your playground. And depending upon where we are, we'll also do a dog park, because we don't want people just letting their dogs out of their mobile homes. And most people who have mobile homes have dogs. Don't know why that is. Mountain Dew and dogs, that seems to be a mobile home thing. So a dog park where they can actually take the dogs. It's a benefit for them. It's an added incentive for them to want to live there. And if you've got that space inside that oval, you might as well use it for perks for the residents, because that is going to be incentive for them not only to come, but for them to stay. You'd be surprised how many people will stay someplace because their kids like it or because their pet likes it. They may be ambivalent one way or the other, but if their kid likes the neighborhood, if their kid likes where they live, if their kid likes the friends that they have, if their pet loves going to the pet park and visiting with their favorite pet friends, that will be incentive and motivation for them to say, hey, you know what? I'm happy here. That works for me. You can make it as nice as you want. Don't make it ghetto. Don't go over the top. It's not hard to make something nice and give it some perks and it not cost you very much money at all. Now, management wise, I have nothing against manufactured homes. I do not want to be part of the management at all whatsoever. Typically for a mobile home park, what works best is to have somebody on site. And we typically do that with, I typically do that. I'm not sure how Bill does it, with one of those used mobile homes that we talk about. And we make that a manager's unit. Manager gets paid a salary. It's a part-time job for them. They get paid a salary, and part of that salary is matched by their rental for that unit. Because they have a place to live. So they get a reduced rent, but they have a place to live. It's usually a retired person or retired couple that does that. And they're just responsible for showing new tenants around, making sure that the rent gets collected, making sure that they're banging on doors for people who haven't paid their rent. It's not a complicated job, but if you find the right person, they are golden.
And I love using retired military and retired law enforcement for things like that.
Absolutely. They're authoritative and they absolutely are deserving of a job and housing and everything else. So,
Yep.
Anything to add on our final segment for manufactured homes, mobile home parks?
I would just say, make sure that you're not passing on this because of some preconceived idea you have about, and I'll give you a great example. When I was growing up, my dad's best friend was a guy named, his last name was Strickland. And
he sold propane in Arlen, Texas.
No, he had a junkyard. And this guy, the guy's first name was Layman Strickland. And so they owned this place in Pelham, Alabama called Giant Auto Parts. And it was giant. They had it named right. And so my dad and I would do car things together. And we would go there several times a year for years and years. And always cracked me up. Here's this guy, he's covered from grease from head to toe. And it was a junkyard, and it's not like some of the things you see on TV now. It didn't look like that at all. The building looked like it might fall in any minute, and there literally was car parts everywhere in the building. And then you went out in the back and found what you were looking for and brought it back up, and they would tell you how much it would be. So later on, he had a son that was about 8 or 9 years younger than me named Hut Strickland. And Hut was a race car driver. Well, the next thing I know, my dad's telling me that Hut's going to be in NASCAR. And I'm like, what? And he said, yeah, you got a big enough check, you can buy your way in. And Layman's buying their way in. I'm like, well, he didn't have that kind of money. And he goes, you are so naive. And we ended up going to their home. And my eyes are like this big and my mouth is hanging open. I'm probably mid to late teens at the time, and going into my early 20s. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they had this incredible mansion, and it was all based on this junkyard. So I had all these preconceived ideas about who these people were and the lifestyle that accompanied that. What they understood was where the profit was, and they understood the numbers of their business, and they did incredibly well. And Hud ended up marrying one of Bobby Allison's daughters, and that's NASCAR royalty. And so I don't have a clue. He's not racing anymore. Don't have a clue what happened to him. This would have been probably 80s, late 70s, early 80s, maybe 90s when Hut made it to NASCAR. But when I started finding out about this business that they had, it would have been late 70s, early 80s. And it was like, man, I just never thought about the amount of pure profit that derives. So what you look at is you get your self-image adjusted to not being above owning a mobile home park, looking at the numbers. It is a great business. And that's what I want to look at, is where the returns are, cost of entry significantly lower, great return on investment, something you ought to take in consideration, you ought to take a look at.
Yes. And because of the flexibility of a mobile home park, literally, you have got structures that are moving around. If you ever needed to repurpose that property for something more profitable, it is easy enough to hook all those things up to a truck, drag them out, get them out of there, cancel leases, whatever it is you need to do, and sell it to, Home Depot or Big Lots or whoever it is that wants to build something there. It is an amazing use. The other thing to consider is, because you don't have any permanent structures that are yours, that are there, okay, in most states, and I want to punctuate that by saying in most states, since you don't have any permanent properties, you're not paying the same amount of property tax. You have unimproved property. Some states will require you to remove the axles so that it becomes a structure, and then you're going to have to pay for that. But again, you pass that on to your leaseholder. In some states, if you have the axles still on the trailer, it is still considered a motor vehicle, and they will pay tag on that vehicle through the Department of Motor Vehicles for that state, and you won't be paying property tax on it. And that's up to the person who owns that particular unit. A lot of times the axles are just a temporary thing. You'll have to pay extra if you want to keep the axles on there. They take the axles off of those things and they put them onto the next one so they can ship them someplace else. But something to consider depending upon the state you're in, figure out what those requirements are. But again, most times you're able to not pay the exact, well, not the huge property tax that you'd have to pay if you had that many structures on the same property, because they're not considered improved properties. So I love them. Bill loves them. I think the consensus is 2 thumbs up, since Siskel and Ebert aren't here. And take a look at it. You'd be surprised how easy it absolutely is. If you find a piece of property that's zoned for single family or for multifamily, it'll work both times. Yep. So just keep an eye out for that, and something to consider, especially right now where our real estate options are challenged because of the demand on real estate literally everywhere. Okay. This might be a strategy that you want to look at, because finding unimproved property is still pretty easy, and manufactured homes are still have not gone up in price the same way that building materials have, and the same way that stick built houses have. So consider it as a strategy for 2021, maybe even into 2022. Bill, as always, it's been a pleasure chatting and hanging out with you.
My friend, as always, home run. And hope you folks got some great information out of that today. And always jump over to the investorguyspodcast.com, investorguyspodcast.com. Subscribe, like, drop us a comment if there are particular shows that you'd like topics for us to cover. You can certainly email us at either contact at investorguyspodcast.com or Kevin or Bill at investorguyspodcast.com, and let us know what type of topics you'd like to see covered in future episodes, and we would be more than happy to do that.
Our past episodes are also there. You can catch that. Our dates where Bill and I do our buyers event, our real estate buyers events, those are all up as well. And I have in my hand right here on my desk dates for next year that I'm going to run past Bill, and I'll go ahead and put those up. We are going to reduce the amount of dates for next year because our schedule is getting heavier and heavier and heavier with more things to do. So instead of having one every single month, next year it's probably going to be one every other month. So jump on those opportunities as quickly as you can so that you don't get shut out. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys back here again on Tuesday. Happy investing. Bill, over and out.
See you now.
We didn't even plan that. I don't know how. Have a great one.